just very quickly, we're going to tell you just a tiny bit about our organization. It might be slightly different and have a different mission than some of the other folks on today's call that are thinking about distance learning. So a little bit of background on our organization, and then we'll move into the program. So today the forum is a 40-year-old policy and advocacy organization that is rooted in Washington, D.C., although we about half of our team is in D.C. and half of our team is spread out throughout the country. We are a traditional policy and advocacy shop, spend a lot of time on Capitol Hill, and we advocate for the value of immigrants and immigration to the nation. However, we do this work in a little bit of a unique space, different from a lot of our partners in the immigration field. We work with three main constituencies to make sure that our advocacy is really effective. Those constituencies are faith leaders, law enforcement leaders, and business leaders. Because of the third piece of our work with businesses, 7 years ago, we started a part of the forum, which is called New American Workforce. And it was developed in our work with business leaders to make sure to continue to put together best practices and strategies that help to support immigrant workers, immigrant incumbent workers, so to offer immigrant integration through the work site. In this portfolio of work, we developed two main programs. One is a citizenship legal service program that is actually remote and has a portal for employees to access, and also our contextualized English language learning, which you'll hear a lot about today. Both of these have become remote opportunities, so programs for employees to seek support and skill training remotely in effort to scale. As you all know, there's many workers who have limited English proficiency, and we wanted to be able to appeal to all of them. So for our English training, it is completely contextualized per industry. You're going to hear more from other partners on the call about the instructions, so I'll save that for other. So it's offered 40% through live instruction and 60% online through online learning modules. A quick note on that, we have our own contextualized, our own customized open source LMS, Moodle, and we have an embedded tool, Big Blue Button, thanks to our great friends at the EdTech Center who've helped us with a lot of this work. So it is blended, it is contextualized, and we have begun to offer it to many employer partners. Right now, New American Workforce overall partners with over 400 employers across the country. And so we are seeking to reach many of these employers with this training. So one of the key components of this training that I'd love to jump into is the fact that it is offered in partnership with employers. And before we start really talking about the employer engagement strategy, I just wanted to show you a little bit about the results and the outcomes of this training. We have offered this training with employers such as Lyft and Whole Foods, Kroger's, and others. It is 12 to 16 weeks, and after just those 12 to 16 weeks, you'll see on your screen some of the outcomes. On average, we have an 87% improved English skill rate. We have a 37% job promotion rate. And this is one that's really exciting and will help us sort of move into the employer engagement conversation. This is one of the ROI metrics. It's very exciting to employers. 89% of managers reported increased store productivity due to this training. And we specifically asked when we surveyed managers about productivity due to the training. So we feel like it's a very effective training. We've done it for several years now with various employers, and are positioned to continue to scale with many others. Moving to the next slide, I want to start talking in general just about our employer engagement strategy and some of the best tips. So we're going to talk first about general employer partnership tips, and then we're going to talk about today's context. So in general, to engage employers, I recommend that you build trust. Make sure that you are very clear with them about your mission as an organization or your goals as an institution, and really help to supply them with both ROI metrics or return result metrics, as well as referrals to other companies who have already partnered with you. Make sure that you allow yourself to be vetted very openly. Build a bigger mission. Ask them to join in with your bigger mission of your nonprofit or your educational institution. Make them a stakeholder. Really dig into their social impact, government relations, communications, and foundation efforts to show that you have strategic alignment. You're not just a vendor offering services for a key moment, but you're here to build a lasting shared mission. Listen to the employer. Listen, listen, listen. I have worked with a lot of workforce development colleagues who come to offer trainings to employers and sort of come with their pitch first, rather than listening to the pain point of the company and figure out how together you can meet the need that they have with their workforce. Package your training or your opportunities in a way that is an easy lift, that's created to be an easy lift, meaning many of these folks are not focused just on what you're focused on. They have made many components to their job. If they're an HR professional, they're hiring and doing training and evaluations and worried about a number of other things such as benefits at the same time. So really try to package things into small bites and make them easy lift. And then last of all, I ended with this on purpose, do seek to change practices, employer practices, by encouraging creativity. I put this last though. I feel like a lot of partners approach employers first in sort of with the mindset that they want to change practices, when rather you can sort of build through these steps, listen, build trust, build a mission, create a package that's an easy lift, and then therefore you are changing employer practices and encouraging them to look at their offerings creatively as a partner. And then that brings us to today's context. How to engage employers in today's context. We are we were pleasantly surprised. I will start with sort of the trend that we're observing. I predicted that many employers would turn to us and say, let's halt the classes that we already have. Let's not plan for the pilots that we're planning for. Any of these kinds of answers, which would be completely legitimate, honestly. Many businesses are struggling. Bottom lines are being hit, and there's a lot of other concerns out there for business. However, we are not finding that. We are actually finding that employers are pressing in. They may be delaying things, flipping things a bit, changing how we deliver, but still are very engaged in thinking about the long-term pipeline pipeline goals that they're focused on for their workforce. So here's a few tips that I have right now. Obviously, this is changing by the moment, but over the last few weeks, here's what I've observed. Offer transparency. Just come to them right away and say, this is what we're observing with the classes. If there's things ongoing, anything that you think is a hiccup that you want to flag for them, flag it immediately. Be very transparent, share what you're hearing from other employers, and just recognize the challenges that they are facing. Right now, we're, operating with frontline retailers, and we're super focused on the challenges that they have there and understand those challenges. And so we've just offered a lot of transparency in those conversations. Discuss and adopt shared goals. So, quickly negotiate with them and figure out how to change the goals or the operational plans based on what you're hearing from them. And then offer to go above and beyond. We definitely brought in a lot more capacity this round. We borrowed interns, we borrowed staff members, we leaned on partners to help us really flip our classes. My colleague following me, Anna, will talk to you about how we flipped our classes from in-person to remote. So we definitely showed the employer that at this time, when they're very strained, we can continue to go above and beyond where possible and be creative and be a good partner. And then here's my big, I think this is the biggest one, drop down but not out. Try not to pause everything you're doing. Try not to stop everything you're doing and halt all the momentum. Figure out if there's anything that you can keep doing. If you have 8 classes and you have to drop it to 2, if you have 3 pilots scheduled for May and you want to just postpone them to July and continue check-in meetings May, June, and July to keep the momentum going, whatever you might need to do, try really hard not to drop completely out. I think if we had paused our classes with the frontline retail workers right now, we wouldn't have the amazing results we have. So Anna's going to share with you about that, but we're seeing as high as an 80% course retention rate after flipping these frontline retail workers from in-person to fully remote instruction. So I think we wouldn't have that momentum if we had taken a pause or had dropped completely out. So those are some of the tips we wanted to share with you today.